What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo here with a bit of a family feud. We've got in the left the Samsung Galaxy S2 for AT&T, and on the right we have its larger cousin, the Samsung Skyrocket, also for AT&T. I'm going to put these two head to head and help you decide which one's right for you. Specs of both of these guys here so you can appreciate the differences. First, they both have the same resolution of 400 by 800, but the Skyrocket has a 4.5-inch panel, Super AMOLED Plus, as opposed to the 4.3-inch panel, also Super AMOLED Plus, on the Galaxy S2. So what that's going to mean is you're going to see the same amount of pixels on the screen, just going to look a little bit bigger on the 4.5-inch Skyrocket, and I'll show you what that'll look like in just a minute. Camera standpoint, everything else is the same. 8-megapixel camera on the back with 2 megapixels on the front. You can see a bit of the aesthetic differences here as well. Galaxy S2 has that very thin plastic. Skyrocket's got a bit more thicker plastic on the back. Other than that, they're very, very similar phones running the same version of Android. We'll go ahead and continue to run through the specs, and I'll talk to you a bit more about them. The battery on the larger Skyrocket also has a larger battery, 1,850 milliamp hours compared to the 1,650 milliamp hours here on the Galaxy S2. 16 gigs of internal storage on each, a gig of RAM on each as well. So here's where things start to get a little bit different. From a processor standpoint, the Galaxy S2 has a 1.2 gigahertz processor, whereas the Skyrocket has a 1.5 gigahertz processor. So the immediate thought would be, wow, that's 0.3 faster. The Skyrocket's going to be a faster phone because it has a theoretical faster clock speed. Well, not necessarily true. I'm going to get a little techie on you. I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can. The chipset here is a Qualcomm-made Snapdragon chipset, as opposed to the Exynos, I think I'm pronouncing that right, on the Galaxy S2. Which is generally a faster chipset in general. So despite the 1.5 versus 1.2, presumably this is going to be a faster phone from a processing standpoint and from a GPU standpoint as well. But, so if that wasn't confusing enough, this guy here, the Galaxy S2, is HSPA Plus capable, whereas this guy here, the Skyrocket, is HSPA Plus capable and LTE capable. So this is where things can get a little bit tricky. All right, so let me go ahead and show you some of the technical differences here and what that difference in processor and chipset is going to mean. So I'm going to go ahead and run a quadrant test on each of these just so you can see the speed difference. And I've run these a few times before, and I'll share those other results for you. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure everything's closed. It doesn't really make that big a difference, but thought I'd just show you that we're starting from, fair on each. So we'll go ahead and hit home. I'll fast forward the test while it's running, but we'll go ahead and jump right to the results. So hit quadrant there. We'll run full benchmarks on each. All right, so the scores are done. Let's go ahead and see what they are. Go ahead and send the benchmark results. And here we've got pretty telling results here. So on the Galaxy S2, we've got a score of 2,879. And on the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket, we've got a score of 2,907. So pretty close there. I will say that these are actually atypical results considering what I've had in the past, where the Galaxy S2 had a 3,000 score compared to a 2,000 on the Skyrocket. So I'm going to go ahead and run these tests one more time and see if we can duplicate the results or not. And I'll go ahead and fast forward one last time. All right, and we are done again. Let's go ahead and check out the scores of these two. So now we've got 3,390 on the Galaxy S2 as opposed to 2,630 on the Skyrocket. And those are a bit more typical scores, but I figured I'd run it twice just so you guys can see. So what is all this stuff going to mean for you when it comes down to deciding which phone you should get? The answer, if you're very into the specs and you like to run custom ROMs and perhaps overclocking is important to you and you want the fastest processing experience possible and the best graphic experience possible on your phone, and you don't care all that much about data speeds, the Galaxy S2 is going to be a great phone for you. It is HSPA Plus capable, so you can get theoretical speeds of around 14, although I have yet to see them on HSPA Plus. If, let's say, data speed is most important to you and you do a lot of internet usage and you do a lot of tethering and you happen to live in a 4G LTE area and you're willing to sacrifice just a tiny bit of performance, the Skyrocket's going to be an awesome choice for you. When it comes down to me, which one I would pick, internet speed is most important, so the Skyrocket would be the one I would choose. However, I've spoken to other people and they say there's no substitute for the Galaxy S2's horsepower. AT&T's 4G LTE isn't in a ton of areas yet, but presumably when you pick up one of these phones, you'll be signing a 2-year contract. So hopefully during that 2-year period, you'll be getting LTE in your area. AT&T's got a very aggressive 4G LTE rollout plan, so hopefully you will have it in your area. Also, you're going to have a bit of a larger size here, so text is going to look a little bit bigger. I don't have the best eyesight in the world. All the years of looking at monitors sort of hurt my eyes. So you can see that you can see the same amount of stuff on here. It just looks a little bit bigger on the Skyrocket, which for me is a positive. For other people, they might want it to be a little bit smaller and crisper. So it's really going to be 6 or half dozen of the other. They're both great phones, but it's important to note the difference that not necessarily the speed of the processor is the most important. It's the chipset underneath it. So which phone are you going to get? Are you a Skyrocket fan? Are you a Galaxy S2 fan? I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say. Leave your comments down below. John Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.